A very common question that I'm asked all the time in machine quilting classes and elsewhere is, what should my stitch length be? I always have a hard time not giggling because I assume that people understand that as soon as you put your feed dogs down and throw on your free motion foot, your machine no longer controls your stitch length. So when you are free motion quilting, your machine does not control your stitch length. You do. It's all you. It's all on you. And how it is controlled is between how you manage the movement of your hand and the speed at which you operate the machine. So if you operate the machine at a really high speed, but move your hands really slowly, your stitches are going to be very tiny right on top of each other. Conversely, if you run your machine very slow and move your hands really fast, then your stitches are going to be huge. We call them toe grabbers. We don't want those either. What we're looking for is about 10 stitches per inch in free motion quilting. That's kind of the zenith, if you will. That means 10 stitches on top, 10 stitches on the bottom. So 10 visible stitches on the top surface per inch. And it takes a while to get there. You don't have to get there. You can get to the point where you almost always have 9 stitches per inch. That's your stitch length. Or you always have about 12 stitches per inch. That's your stitch length. But 10 stitches per inch is a really tidy, neat, tight enough stitch length. So I'm going to show you kind of how we make this happen. So first I'm going to show you what not to do. So I'm just going to start stitching here, and I'm going to get my machine going really fast, and I'm going to move my hands really, really slow. And then I'm going to move my hands really, really fast. Okay, so first, when I was moving my hands really, really slow, I'm almost getting what would be called a bullion stitch. Those stitches are right on top of each other and they're building up the surface and they look like I've got a tension problem, and that's because my stitches are far too small. Here we've got stitches that I can easily catch my scissors on, right there. These are toe grabbers. Those are way, way too big. And if you saw what I was doing, I was moving my hands very slow, running the machine at full maximum. Here I'm running the machine at full maximum, but I'm moving my hands really, really slow. Generally speaking, if your machine has a slider, that means it's this little guy that controls the speed on it. It has a minus on one side and a plus on the other, or it has a turtle on one side and a rabbit on the other. If you put that so that the slider is at approximately 75%, meaning it's 75% over to the fast, and then keep your machine floored at all times, you can keep a consistent high speed. Not so high that you can't control easily though. So that's what I've just done, and I want you to hear what the machine sounds like. So this is the high 75%. Now hear it when it's at max. Do you hear that slight difference? Back down to 75%. It sounds a little quieter. When it's at that revving sound, it's probably too fast for you to manage really detailed designs. So if you have a slider, my first suggestion is to put it on that 75%. Then learn how fast to move your hands to yield that consistent 10, 9 or 12 or 11 or whatever it is in that ballpark stitches per inch. But what our goal is to have every inch of stitching have approximately the same amount of stitches in it so that our stitch length is consistent. And I'm just stitching here, and you can see how slow I'm moving my hands. I'm not moving them fast like this, like I was doing earlier, getting those big toe grabbers. And I'm not moving it so slow that I'm getting that bullion stitch, but consistently slow and smoothly. And getting a consistent stitch length. So now when we look at this, we can look all the way across here and see that all of those stitches are approximately the same size. And if I look in approximately an inch worth of stitching, so I'm going to go from here to here, so it's about an inch. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 stitches there. And from here to about here is another inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 in that one. Very consistent, 12 in one inch, 11 in the other. And that is what we're looking for, is that consistent stitch length. Find your rhythm. Use your machine if it has that ability to do that 75% of max. If it doesn't, then pay attention to how it sounds before it revs up, and keep it just under that rev up sound with your foot pressure, and then move those hands slowly and consistently. This is what we're looking for. This is what we don't want. This is what we don't want. So practice, and you'll get lots and lots better.